Welcome to the Omnibus Show, a program for people who are interested in everything, with deep conversations on a wide variety of subjects. And now your host, Dave Gibbs.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Omnibus Show, the program for people who are interested in everything, with deep conversations on a wide variety of subjects. Our guest this episode is Sarah Myer. She is the Chief of Staff and Strategy for Indiana Sports Corp and the Event Director for the 2024 Olympic Team Trials in swimming at the Lucas Oil Stadium. She's also the producer for Made for This Moment, an Indiana Sports Corp story. The documentary is about the history of sports strategy in Indianapolis. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
This is going to be a fascinating conversation. There's so much, because we're a sports state, so there's so much, and you have such a history, and there's such an interesting story. Well, let's go back to the beginning.
Sure.
And your milestones that led you to where you're at as Chief of Staff and Strategy.
Tongue-tied.
That's a mouth. I am tongue-tied.
Yeah, so I
hope
grew...
it fits on the card.
Yeah, there you go. I grew up in Cleveland, actually, a suburb of Cleveland, and grew up in really a mix of music and sports. So knew that I wanted to have my future be surrounded by events and getting people to have fun things to do, and usually that, and for my family, included music and sports. I actually grew up swimming through high school, and then I also sang, played piano, so a big variety of things. But I went to Butler University. I had not heard about the school. It had not had its basketball fame at that point. So, but my guidance counselor in high school told me what a great place it was, and told me about Indianapolis. And so I went there, and I majored in journalism with a PR concentration. So knew I wanted to do something around that, and eventually did internships with the Pacers and the Indians and a radio station. And it was all working towards this kind of promotions and marketing major. So after graduation, I worked for a weekly newspaper here called Nouveau, and they were really talking about what to do and where to go in Indianapolis. So I quickly learned about all of the arts and culture and sports and everything that made Indianapolis such a great town. And I found myself really falling in love with the community. I thought I would move back to Cleveland someday, and I just kept getting pulled into Indianapolis and central Indiana. And I got very involved. I went back to my music roots a bit and was at the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. So heading up their marketing from 2011 through 2019, learned a ton about nonprofit management. The Indianapolis Symphony does more than 200 concerts a year. So really all about managing our people, managing all of the events, but also managing a lot of ticket sales. So I was able to grow the ticket sales while I was there, really find ways to reach new audiences, but was really starting to feel like I wanted to give more to the community and be a part of helping Indianapolis thrive. So fortunately for me, Indiana Sports Corp had a position open in their marketing department, and I was hired to lead their marketing in April of 2019. Faced with challenges very soon after that, in March of 2020, like all of us, found kind of a loss of purpose with everything shutting down and a lot of events really being unknown. At that point, we were supposed to host the 2021 Men's Final Four and the 2021 All-Star game, actually.
And that's all in 1 year, of
That
course.
was in 1 year. And then
2020, 2022
yeah,
is 1
yeah.
year.
So we were all planning that, and then we didn't really know what was going to come of that. Luckily, in the fall of 2020, we found out that we would host the 2024 NBA All-Star Weekend, and then we got a call from the NCAA to host the entire men's basketball tournament, so all of March Madness in 2021. So we had 70 days to plan, but it was a huge part of my career just because I feel like everything kind of came together of everything I had learned to that point of managing people and processes and doing it under a lot of pressure. But it was really fantastic, and I've loved being there ever since.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's really the one event, to my memory, that really opened up Indianapolis after COVID, let's call it COVID closure.
Yeah.
And it was just one team, wasn't it? That was affected by COVID.
Just one, yeah.
Yeah, just
only one had to
team.
drop out.
And that was a success,
Yeah.
a big time success.
Yeah.
And that's really what led to the reopening of the city.
Yeah, I remember getting the call in November of 2020
Yeah.
from our CEO at the time, and he said there's a chance that the NCAA may move the whole tournament here, and there was that sense of this is how we can do this. This is how we can give back to Indiana, because we hosted games at Purdue and at IU and all over the state to do this. So we knew this was the way that we could help build up the downtown. And much like they did back in the 70s of using the sports strategy, we were going to do it again and bringing back downtown. And it really has been continuing to grow and thrive since then. And we're excited for the year that's coming.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into that, just a little bit about your documentary.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us a little bit about what you did with that?
Yeah, so a board member graciously gave us a grant to do a documentary back in 2019, and then when everything happened with COVID, we kind of put a pause on it, but then found a really great purpose for telling that story. So Made for This Moment, the first third of it actually talks about the history, so how in the late 70s we were known as Indianapolis, and how city leaders really came up with this sports strategy to help build the downtown and really build our reputation as a city to come to. And then the last 2/3 of it are really a behind-the-scenes story of how we put March Madness together. And it's called Made for This Moment because really everything that led up to that, the tournament in 2021, was kind of prepping us for what we needed to do. So from the Pan Am Games to 1987 and how much prep we did there, to the 2012 Super Bowl and how much we came together as a city to put that on. This was really testing us at a moment where our community needed us most. So it's a great story. It has a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of content that not everyone got to see if you were, watching the games. But a lot about what our staff and the NCAA were able to do together in order to do that. And, it really gives you a look at why Indiana is so unique, because our city and our state come together for these major event moments. And the community comes out too. I mean, we needed volunteers last minute. We needed people to step up, and we knew how, sensitive that might be just because COVID was still an issue.
Still was.
But our community comes out. I mean, they really show up, and Hoosier hospitality, that is no joke. It really is something we take seriously here. So you'll see that woven throughout the documentary as well.
Well, that's great. Now, are you on YouTube, or do you have this linked?
Yeah.
We'll put it in the description notes
that'd
for
be
those
great.
who'd like to see the documentary.
Absolutely.
And so there's a link that I can send them to.
Yes. Yep. It's on our website, and that'll be in there.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're going to take a brief break right now.
All right.
And we'll be back for Chapter 2 on the Omnibus Show. Hello and welcome back to Chapter 2 of the Omnibus Show. This week's guest is Sarah Myer. She's the Chief of Staff and Strategy for the Indiana Sports Corp. And she is the event director for the upcoming 2024 Olympic Team Trials in Indianapolis at the Lucas Oil Stadium. I got it right this time, didn't I? Well, carrying on, but going back on what you do at Indiana Sports Corp, if we could tell our audience a little bit about how you support, talk about the basketball, and also with swimming.
Yeah.
What all do you do to make these events happen?
Yeah, and it's a great question because I don't think people who have been here realize how we bring some of these major events here, but that is a long-time strategy that started back in the late 70s. Indianapolis was known as Indianoplace, so people would work downtown but would not stay down there, and city leaders really thought, how can we build our city up? How can we build up the reputation? And came up with this sports strategy, which was in 3 parts, was bringing major events here, building venues to host those major events, and then also bringing organizations here that, were in the business of sports that could help really build up that ecosystem. So, throughout the years, we've seen events like the Pan Am Games, the National Sports Festival, but also lots of Olympic trials. We've had great relationships with USA Swimming, USA Diving, USA Track and Field, USA Gymnastics. So all of those events, plus all the college athletics as well. So the NCAA moved here in 1999 from Kansas City, and that was very intentional. We knew moving the NCAA here was going to be massive for us and getting events here and being able to host here. And we hosted our first Final Four, men's Final Four in 1980, but man, does it look a lot different now.
Sure does.
So we will actually host our 9th Final Four in 2026,
Nice.
men's Final Four, and our 10th in 2029. So just a fantastic relationship with the NCAA. And again, that was part of a major strategy. So Indiana Sports Corp really works on continuing to build those relationships and bringing those events to the city so we can fill those venues, so we can engage our community to volunteer for those events and get involved, but really so we can build the reputation for Indianapolis. And if you think about it, so much of the sporting events the success we've seen has also helped with the convention business as well. So we really are a host city, and we're a prime host city. A lot of the event partners that we talk to, the things that they love the most are the compactness of Indy, the convenience that you can go downtown and you can park and you don't have to drive anywhere else. Everything is right there, all the venues, all the places to go. Our airport is top notch, and it's accessible, and
It's still number 1 in the country.
it is. It is.
Rated number 1.
Exactly. But we go through a bid process to host these events. Indiana Sports Corp was the first sports commission ever created in the country, and now there's more than 300. So we have a lot of competition, and you'll see, you've probably seen that already. I will tell you, if anyone announces that they're building a domed stadium, that they're going to compete with us for Final Fours. That's a very intentional decision. So as these new venues come online and cities are really seeing what that success is of a sports strategy, we're seeing a lot of competition. So we're always trying to up our game. But it's a competitive process. It's a bid process. Some processes are longer than others. For men's Final Four, for example, that process will be about a year. You put in your bid, then if you're selected to be a finalist, they come out and visit and go through all of the venues and all of your places where you would host all of the events. And then you do a final presentation. So it's a pretty thorough process, but understandable because they have a lot of cities that are vying for these events, and they want the best of the best for their student athletes. So, so we're constantly looking at what events we can bid and what sports too. We want to bring a variety of sports here, and we're trying to figure out how to upgrade our venues to bring those sports too. So a good example is at the fairgrounds, they have a new track and field stadium. That was very intentional. We knew we wanted to bring more events here for that, and it's a beautiful venue. So just continuing to build on those assets, but also find other events that we can bring here so we can keep that strategy going.
Well, you've done a fine job. I was driving down College the other day, which is a road here, and I'm going from Carmel into Indianapolis, and there's 2 boards. The first sign is the name of Welcome to Indianapolis and the mayor, and below it, which is larger than the board above, are all the sporting events and the championships that have happened. In recent years.
Yes, we're very
so
proud.
It's like that's bigger than the Welcome to the City. board. So you're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
But on the beginner's side is, say we have someone out there who's interested in getting involved with Indiana Sports Corp, and is that usually a starting point for someone who would be interested in getting involved in Indiana sports?
Yeah, I tell people that the best first entryway for people to get involved with Indiana Sports Corp is volunteering.
Okay.
We always have volunteer positions open for all of our events.
Yes.
And an event like a Final Four could use up to 3,000 volunteers. our future Olympic swimming trials will need 6,000 volunteers. I volunteered when I was in college. It's a great way to meet people and to get involved and really kind of get your name out and start networking with people who are in the business.
Yes.
We have internships, so that's really helpful if people want to if students want to take that next step into their involvement. But I would say volunteering and really putting your name forward. We're a nonprofit staff of 30 putting on these major events, so we are always needing volunteers, either day of event or we actually have local organizing committees that we put together for these events. And those volunteers are volunteering their time over a span of maybe 1 to 2 years helping us plan the event. So lots of great ways to get involved. And we have people from, on some of those committees who are recent grads to, Doug Bowles from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's the chair of our marketing committee for the swimming trials. So
you got a good guy there.
Yeah. So our volunteers really span a lot of different experience. So, which is great because, people like Doug Bowles are interacting with some of these recent grads. And so it gives you that entryway into whether you want to work for Sports Corp or another sports organization or event organization. It's a great way to get involved.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Now, to take it up to the top of the pile, being a nonprofit, I'm just thinking on my feet here.
Yeah.
Having these, you don't go by just sponsorship. You actually get bids from the organizations, from the Olympic Committee, from the NCAA. That's really where the money comes in from, is really from the group. You have to win that. Or is there a broader...
Actually, we have to pay for all those events.
You have to pay for those events.
Yeah, which was a surprise to me too when I started the job.
So now we need to get the cap out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty crazy when you think about it that in the late 70s, so much of the corporate community came forward to help support the sports strategy.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same now. A lot of our support comes from the corporate community, and then we get some from the CIB and Visit Indy, but it's really mostly from the corporate community because the events cost money, and that's where the competition comes in too. Because some of these other communities, like a Nashville or a Las Vegas, they might have other ways of funding to be able to put forth to these events and say, hey, this is what we're willing to give. So we're always trying to get creative with how we can support those, but that's why we are a nonprofit, because we typically are making no money from these events and paying for the rights fee for them.
So your development group is pretty
They
large.
are busy. They're actually a pretty small but mighty team, but they are fantastic. And I think what's very interesting is we have such great support from the corporate community who believe in this mission, believe that because we're bringing these events to town, because we're able to engage the community like this, that is a talent attraction and retention strategy for them.
Of course.
So that's a great way that we get their support, and they are able to see firsthand the impact of these events. So, when we talk about the 2021 March Madness, it was wonderful for our corporate partners to stay supporting us, and it was great for them to see what the result of that was. Because they supported Sports Corp, we were able to deliver on that level. So, so we're very grateful to the corporate community. But yes, a big lesson to me is that those bids do cost money. But however, you might be paying, up to $10 million for a college football playoff or a Final Four, but the economic impact can be between 200 and 350 million. So
it's Taylor Swift show up. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Or
Isn't that what the Super Bowl.
I guess we don't bid on concerts, but
yeah, there you go. Or they just show up. And
exactly. Exactly.
There's another revenue source.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating to know, because there's a lot of work that goes into that, and you've done quite a bit. And obviously your success is shown.
Thank you.
Now you've got the Olympics coming up.
Yes, we do.
Please tell us about that and what's ahead.
Yeah, so the Olympic swimming trials was last hosted in Indianapolis in 2000 at the IU Natatorium. Special note, Michael Phelps qualified at 15 years old that year. But the IU Natatorium is an incredible venue, but they only seat 4,000 people. So actually the swimming trials outgrew the natatorium. So they moved to a couple different cities, most recently in Omaha, where they were seating 9,000 fans. And they outgrew that too. So they had put a bid out and were looking to host it in a larger stadium, possibly an NFL stadium. And luckily we won that bid. So we announced in March of 2022 that we would be hosting that in Lucas Oil Stadium downtown. So we'll build a 50-meter competition pool on the south side of the stadium. So they'll actually tear up the turf. They'll pull it up. They'll be,
That's a big job.
Yeah. We're actually finding a place for the turf too. So really trying to make sure there's a big impact here. But they're going to build the deck 12 rows up. So they'll take out the first 12 rows of the stadium, and then the pool. Yep, the pool will go in, and then they'll have the practice pools on the other side.
Wow.
So the pool's being built in Italy right now, and then it will come over on a ship, and then we will start.
It sounds like something permanent.
It's pretty crazy.
Classical
Yeah,
pool,
yeah, exactly.
All that Italian marble and mosaic. It's
I know.
like, we don't want to take that out.
But they'll start installing it in mid-May. But we're really excited about this event because it is a major sporting event in the summer, a great time to show off our community. We'll be on NBC all 9 nights. So
Nice.
nine days and nights of competition, and those nights will be on NBC. And then we'll have a lot of really amazing fan engagement downtown. So they'll do the Toyota AquaZone in the convention center, which is very family-friendly, great activities to do, all free. And then we will turn downtown and Georgia Street into kind of a swimming campus /
Like
festival.
Olympic campus type of thing?
And we will be working
that'd
with
be
the
fun.
Latinos Welding Guild to build a 66-foot Eiffel Tower. So that will sit, if you look at the Eiffel Tower, behind it will be the Sailors and Soldiers Monument. So
Will people be able to go up it, or
they will be able to look up and see,
so
but
they
they won't be able to get up.
Okay, gotcha. I see.
But really taking it to the next level and turning it into a festival-like atmosphere.
Yeah.
And we're really excited because there's such a huge swimming community, not just here in Indiana, but regionally. USA Swimming has a membership of more than 400,000 people, and more than 25% of that membership lives within driving distance of Indianapolis. So I think the other really unique thing about Central Indiana is just all of the pools that we have. So we actually have 45 pool partners who are opening up pool time for any of these clubs or organizations that want to come in and go to trials and maybe practice. And so that's really exciting to be able to provide them more of a overall experience that they can have here. And swimming is the only sport that can save your life. So we're really hitting on the importance of swim and water safety. So our goal is to get 50,000 people swim or water safe by the end of 2024.
Nice.
We're almost at 25,000.
Good.
But really, and I say individuals because it's not just youth that need to learn to be swim and water safe, but the adults and the parents too. So we actually have a lot of kids who are learning how to swim or learning how to be water safe with their parents. So it's great to be able to have an impact, not just putting on the event, but really in Indianapolis, we try to make sure that we're having an impact through the sport too.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Now, it's the Olympics will be in Paris this year, but
Yes.
here in Indy, it is how many athletes will be coming?
Yeah, so we'll have more than 1,500 athletes coming, and only 52 make Team USA.
Wow.
So
That's a cut.
It's a cut.
That's
yeah,
a deep
right.
cut.
Yeah. So as we've been talking to some of these Olympians, they actually say that the trials are more competitive than the actual Olympics. It's just a hugely competitive event. And this is the only event where they can qualify for the Olympics. There's other sports where you might be able to qualify in other races or events, but this is the event. So
you qualify here for being on the U.S. team, and then it's for the region, if you will. There's a qualifications, is Pan Am still the qualifier for the Pan Am? Or the Pan Am?
So for the Olympic trials, you could have started qualifying, I think, almost a year ago, but they put out qualifying times and they have certain meets where you can qualify.
Okay.
So we've had qualifiers kind of say that they've gotten their ticket to Indy for a little while now, and that'll continue too. There's a lot of meets this winter and spring where people will qualify still.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that will kind of narrow the field even more. But for Paris, that will be coming in the summer. it's the 100th anniversary, because the last one was 100 years ago.
Yeah, the last time Paris hosted was in 1924, and crazy enough, another great, amazing fact about Indy, we hosted the swimming trials in 1924 at Broad Ripple Park.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you go to the park, people ask me, well, where was the pool? If you go in the park and you go a little bit further back, you'll see a very large open field. That's where the pool was.
Okay.
And they actually used some of the tiles when they took it out to put along, there's a creek right along the side of it. And if you look hard enough, you'll see some of the old tiles too.
Some of the old tiles. That's fascinating.
Yep. So 100 years. And we'll really be pushing that story too as we talk about the trials, because what an amazing story.
Yeah. No, that is quite an amazing story. And that was the Chariots of Fire Olympics that the movie was involved in.
Yep.
And so that it's really in 100 years, that's really the event has really changed.
Yes.
And is more almost professional now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As they were very about being amateur and so forth back then. And so this will be exciting. 250,000 seats.
Yeah,
That's
have
a lot from 4,000.
Yeah. We'll have 30,000 seats per day, so we hope to get about 250,000 people here. And there's prelims every day, which is at 11 a.m., and then finals at 8 p.m. So people always ask, oh, well, are the best races to see? Is that the last 2 days? There are great events every single day, because we will name Olympians every single night.
That's
so,
amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Sarah, when is the first day? When is the date for this?
June 15th through the 23rd.
Through the 23rd, so they go right off after.
Yeah, they actually will. The team will be completely named on that 23rd, the evening of the 23rd, and then I was just told that they will actually practice the next day in the competition pool. I mean, there's no rest.
There is no rest. Well, that's true for swimming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. You're absolutely right. That's kind of true for swimming overall, anyway. So.
Well, that's fabulous. And then we'll put that in the description notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that people will be able to go and see.
Great.
And do you have a link up yet for tickets, etc.?
Yeah, we're selling single day tickets right now, so that will get you a prelim and a final, but then we'll start selling single session tickets. So if you want to go either the morning or the evening, we'll start selling those very soon. And then I'll have a link ready for you for anyone interested in volunteering. We'll open up shifts in April, but we're taking people who are interested now. So we have them, and we can send them the information as soon as we release it. But 9 days, I mean, when you think about executing an event for 9 days, we're going to need a lot of volunteers.
You bet. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very fun event. Well, Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
It was great having you on the show.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
And we'll put all of those links up on the in the description notes for the show. Well, that's it for this episode of the Omnibus Show with Sarah Myer, who is the Chief of Staff and Strategy for Indiana Sports Corp and the event director for the 2024 Olympic Team Trials, which will be at the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis this year. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Hotel Carmichael. Today we're shooting at Feinstein's. We look forward to being with you on the next episode of The Omnibus Show.
If you enjoyed this program, please like, share, and subscribe to continue the conversation. For the Omnibus Show newsletter, please sign up at theomnibusshow.com.